Hi, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Public Speaking School. My name is George Asian, and I want to talk today about how to give different kinds of speeches. I'm going to be very fast. I'm going to show you how you can give different kinds of speeches. Okay, so we'll start with the first one. How do you give a toast? Paul Dixon once said that flopping the toast is like serving stale champagne. It flattens the mood. If you do badly giving a toast in an event, in a wedding, in an anniversary, it's like flattening the mood. It's like giving stale champagne. And Paul Dixon is right. You don't want to give stale champagne in a wedding when the mood is supposed to be elated, when we're supposed to be excited. So you want a great toast. Maybe somebody's out there wondering, what is a toast? A toast is a ritual in which a drink is taken as an expression of honor or goodwill. A toast is a ritual in which a drink is taken as an expression of honor or goodwill. The term may be applied to a person or thing so honored. The drink or the verbal expression accompanying the drink. So basically, a toast is given in a wedding. A toast is given at a function. A toast is given at any events that people are available, where like maybe an anniversary, a wedding, a burial ceremony. Yes, some funerals give a toast to maybe the person lived very long, and they want to celebrate the person. They want to celebrate, give a toast at that person's funeral. It's possible. It happens in some occasions. Mostly at promotions, at valedictory events, all kinds of events. A toast is one thing that you want to learn. So, according to Toastmasters International, they say that a toast is a mini speech, and as such, it should have a structure. So, here's the point: your toast is a mini speech. It shouldn't be long, and it should have a structure. A toast is considered as a tribute and should, first of all, one of the qualities of a toast is that it should refer to the occasion, it should reflect the theme of the occasion, it should refer to the achievement of the recipient, it should express goodwill, and it should be formally proposed. So that's basically what makes a toast a toast. It should refer to the occasion, it should reflect the theme, it should refer to the achievement of the recipient, it should express goodwill, and should be formally proposed. So how do you make a toast? Now, if you're going for any event whatsoever, I think that you should be prepared. I think you should be prepared. You should anticipate that they could call you to give a toast, even if they don't tell you ahead of time. But very often, they often will tell you about the toasts, before you give that toast. But sometimes they could just tell you, give a toast in a small function, a small party, and so on. So be prepared. You want to, a few questions you want to ask, all right, when you're thinking about being prepared for a toast. You want to find out who is being toasted. If it's your best friend, then you can be a little more informal. If it's a grandparent, then you can be sweet and sentimental, and that approach is better. You want to find out who or what is being toasted. You also want to find out what is the reason for the toast. What's the purpose for the toast? Is it an anniversary? Is it a college graduation? Is it a wedding? Is it a promotion? Is even a burial ceremony? I told you that some funerals are where people give toasts. Yes, people can give a toast in the funeral that maybe the person lived a very long life, very good life, and even if they are sad, they still want to give a toast to the celebration of life. In Africa, that is done. Another thing you want to do is you want to find out what type of event is it. The type of event guides the formality of the toast more than anything else. So you want to know, is it a cocktail party you're having with friends? Is it something is it an informal meeting where you can throw in jokes here and there? But you want to determine in preparing what type of event it is. Also, you want to know who is in the audience. You want to know what kind of persons are in the audience. If there are people who are family, then you can share personal stories, you can be sentimental, you can share stories that you can all on. If you have people that are your colleagues in school, that will determine to a large extent what kind of toast you're going to give. But if you're giving to a diverse gathering, then you have to be very careful, you have to be a little bit formal, because some of the humor that you may share in that diverse gathering, you may not get. So that's how to First thing you want to do when you're giving a toast is that you want to be prepared. Number two, you want to decide your format. People go on for a toast and they say, sorry, I don't have what to say. No. You've got to prepare and you have to decide what kind of format you have. Paul Dixon once said that a toast is a basic form of human expression that can be used to convey virtually any emotion. Did you get that? A toast is a basic form of human expression that can be used to convey any emotion, from love to rage. Although raging toasts tend to cross the line into the realm of curses, they can be sentimental, cynical, lyrical, comical, defiant, long, short, or just a single word. So Paul Dixon is saying, look, a toast can take different formats. It can be lyrical, it can be comical, it can be defiant, it can be long, it can be short. But you got to determine the format of your toast. The third thing you want to pay attention to when you give a toast, that you want to keep it as short as possible. 30 seconds to 1 minute. Sometimes you can go as little as more as 5 minutes, but I think 5 minutes is quite long. Unless you're adding a lot of humor into that toast, 5 minutes is quite long. So 30 seconds to 1 minute is a fantastic way to do a toast. You don't have to keep your toast pithy. You don't have to make it complicated. Just 30 60 seconds is a fantastic way to do a toast. So next time you have a toast, don't reject it. Just be prepared. Determine your format and you're good to go. Now, this is also very important. One other point I want to share with you that is critical in giving a toast is that you must lean towards sincerity more than humor. Very often when people want to give a toast, they talk about some things about the celebrant or the person who is toasted, and they really can be very humorous. And people listen to you when you're giving your toast. People are listening attentively to what you're saying about them, or and you can be offensive in your toast. So I'd rather that you lean towards sincerity than towards humor, because people don't forget what you say to them in their birthday ceremonies. People don't forget what you say to them at their weddings. So you want to be very careful when you do your toast. Lean towards sincerity than towards humor. Now, humor can work if you're with a smaller, perhaps all-male group, smaller group, but be careful with humor when you're giving your toast. People don't forget those things. So sincerity is far better remembered by a toast recipient than an attempt to add humor. And then the last part of giving a toast in a wedding or in an event, whatever event is that you must end with a clear invitation. So you can say 3 hearty cheers, or hip hip hooray, or let's stand up and say cheers to long life to that. You must give a clear invitation. Tell people to stand up, raise up their glasses, and give that clear invitation. Say something like cheers, or let's raise a glass, and then lead the way. Find someone to clink your glasses, and then you're good to go. So learn how to give a toast, because that's something we do on a regular basis at events and so on. So that's how to give a toast. The next thing that's very common among us, public speaking, is giving a eulogy. So we're going to know what a eulogy is. The first time I saw this word, I thought, since it's eulogy, it should be an eulogy. But doing a dictionary check, I realized that it's not an eulogy, it's a eulogy, because the phonetics is eulogy. Of course, we still pronounce it as eu, but the phonetics is Jew, and Jew is consonant in sound, so you say a eulogy. But now, what's a eulogy? A eulogy is a speech given at a memorial or funeral service. Now, burial ceremonies and funeral services are quite common in Africa, and so eulogy is commonplace. So you want to know how to give a eulogy. A eulogy is a way of saying farewell to a person who has passed away by expressing and sharing thoughts, feelings, and experiences that honor and respect the deceased. So every time you give eulogies, it should be of honor. It should not be something that slights a person. I remember one burial ceremony I was at, and the brother of the deceased he had problems with the children of the deceased, and when he was making a speech, and he alluded to certain things that caused almost violence in that in that ceremony. It was not very good. So whenever you are giving eulogy, you must always have honor and respect. Even if you didn't like the person, there's always a quality, there's always a few things, always that thing that the person did right or the person did that was honorable that you can mention. So eulogy is a speech. It's not just a speech, it's also a writing in praise. Eulogy is a speech or writing in praise. One attribute of eulogy is that it's in praise of a person or thing, especially one who recently died. Now, interestingly, eulogy is not only for someone who just died, it's also for someone who retired from the police force or from civil service or wherever, retired, or as a term of endearment. So sometimes the eulogy can be a term of endearment. Now, eulogies are usually given as part of funeral services. So eulogy is a way to honor the memory of a lost loved one at their funeral, and it's one of the most important elements of the service. So you need to learn how to give eulogies. So let's go about that now. Public speaking school. We're learning how to give different kinds of speeches. When you are giving an eulogy, remember to speak slowly. This is why your vocal variety, your tonality will go down. You're not supposed to be excited. I mean, I know pastors who go to eulogies and begin to shout and scream at their audiences. Now, it doesn't seem to make sense to me. It doesn't matter whatever it is you're trying to share. I think that it's a very solemn moment, and so you want to speak slowly. Now, when if you're giving a eulogy, everyone wants to hear the words you have prepared, and so take your time to say them. Number two, aside speaking slowly, is pause for thought. There may be certain points that deserve moments of silence or for contemplation. A particular story story in that person's life that you want people to pay attention to, and so sometimes you want to pause as you give the speech. And finally, the third thing is that you want to give people some eye contact. Look up for people, loved ones who are in that meeting, and give eye contact. Eye contact in public speaking is a very important thing we do. And then finally, the fourth and most important thing is try to stand still. Now, this is not a time to move here and there. This is a time to stay in one particular place as you give your eulogy. So speak slowly, pause for thought, give eye contact, and stand still. So remember that eulogies are either speeches that are written or said. Okay? Now, how would you write an eulogy? Remember, I said it's a eulogy, not an eulogy. A eulogy in 6 easy steps. 1, you can brainstorm for the eulogy. Basically, what that means is that you want to find out information about the person. So brainstorm with people who knew that person, so you can come out with quality ideas and stories about the person. Now, write the eulogy's introduction. Write a short biography of the deceased person. Include special memories, stories, and qualities of the deceased in the eulogy. And close, and this is very important, whether it is spoken or written, close the eulogy with words of comfort and a final goodbye. And if it's written, make sure you proofread the eulogy. You don't want to have errors in your eulogy as you give it. So, basic format: start with opening remarks, introduce yourself, and give your relationship with the disease. Let's say I am the one who I've lost both of my parents, so I know what it means to give eulogies. And if I'm giving, I gave this eulogy in my mom's burial ceremony, and starting with opening remarks, I had to introduce myself and tell them the relationship I have with the disease. If you go for any eulogy and you have the opportunity to give the eulogy the eulogy, make sure that you you tell the relationship between you and the deceased person. All right. So if you are an immediate family member, thank the attendees, especially those coming from great distances. And then if you're not a family member, then you want to quickly express your condolences. Now, quickly, I want to differentiate between a eulogy and a tribute. Now, remember I said that eulogy is a kind of tribute, but it's not really a tribute. Eulogies are done only at burial ceremonies and at retirement meetings. Okay, so eulogy can be defined as a speech or piece of writing praising someone. So there's one quality of a eulogy is that it praises someone. So don't go to a burial ceremony or a funeral and not praise a person, all right, if you have the opportunity to give the eulogy. On the other hand, a tribute refers to an act, statement, or gift intended to show gratitude or respect. So tributes are not just common to eulogies. Tributes are done generally. Now, for those of you who used to watch old movies, you notice that or read the Bible, notice that kings used to give tributes to other kings, or people used to give tributes to other kings. So tribute is like an act or a statement or a gift intended to show gratitude or respect to people. So in ancient days, kings of kings' tributes were given as a sign of respect to the king or lords as well. Also, when people wanted to show allegiance to that king, tributes usually were given. Alright, does that make sense to you? So do you now know how to give eulogies? Let's look at how to receive an award. Now, if you have if you're doing quite a lot in whatever it is you're doing, like I'm doing quite a lot, and you're probably doing quite a lot in your industry, chances are that at some point you will receive an award. So how do you receive an award? What speech do you make when you receive an award? I'll give you a few steps that will help you. The first thing you want to do when you receive an award is to start by saying thank you. Half the time, that's simply enough to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And one other word you want to say, and that's number 2, is I'm honored. Viewing something as an honor means you respect the giver of the word of the compliments. And then the final thing that's very important when you receive an award and when you're giving a speech after award is to give credit where credit is due. Now, there's a body called Toastmasters International. Toastmasters International was created in 1920 something, and they basically focus on helping people to speak better. I'm sure there's a Toastmasters organization in your area. So here's what they say about receiving an award, a speech you give when you receive an award. They said, number 1, show personality. Your acceptance speech should come from your heart. Number 2, be gracious. Acknowledge the good work done by your competitors and thank the organization that selected you for the award. There are some competitions where you have nominees and then you are chosen. One of the finest things to do is to also, appreciate and acknowledge your competitors. Number 3, show excitement. Number 4, be modest. And then, of course, before you climb the stage, if you know you're going to win, make sure you practice. So that's how to receive an award. Let's go to another way to another speech most likely you're going to give in your life. And we're talking about giving different kinds of speeches. How to give a valedictory speech. What is a valedictory speech? A valedictory speech is given when somebody's chosen to give a valedictory speech at the end of your school year, university year, secondary school year, and so on. Now, great valedictory speeches follow a pattern. They offer fun reflection on your school years, and you want to know that when giving a valedictory speech, you should not go more than 10 minutes. 10 minutes is perfect. And one of the things common to valedictory speeches is that you must mention a lot of people's names, you must tell stories, and you must practice so you don't have to read from the valedictory speech. Now, one of the things I do and I teach people who give valedictory speeches, number 1, talk about what you have learned in that school, what you learned in that school in your valedictory speech. Number 2, you want to crack a few jokes about some teachers, some lecturers, some experiences, some buddies in school. You want to talk about them. And then very importantly, in your valedictory speech, you want to inspire your fellow students about the future, about where they are going to. So very often, it's the student of the class that gives the valedictory speech. Some other time, they bring in a celebrity to come give a valedictory speech or an inspirational speech for people. And one last thing you want to do in giving your valedictory speech is to learn how to use quotes. Keep it short and sweet, speak to other students, and make your most important points your final points. Does it make sense to you? Alright, now these are quite important ideas and they will help you. I'm going to wrap up today by talking about how to give a welcome address. So you are the guest speaker, or you're the chief guest, the guest, not the guest speaker, the guest of honor, that's the word, guest of honor. Or you're the owner of the event, you're the host of the event, and you're supposed to give a welcome address. People come to me, so I'm supposed to give a welcome address, what do I do? All right, I'll tell you not to read it. I'll tell you rather to internalize your speech. I won't tell you to memorize your speech. I'll rather tell you to internalize your speech. A welcome speech occurs at the beginning of an event. It is meant to welcome the attendees and to set the context That's very key, to set the context of the occasion. So if you're giving a welcome address, make sure that you set the tone and set the context of the occasion. I'm going to give you a format that you can begin using that will help you. I use it a lot, maybe in an informal meeting. Here's how I can start. Well, since everyone is here, we should get started. Hello everyone, thank you for coming today. I think we'll begin now. First, I'd like to welcome you all and send my regards to, you can honor a few persons. Thank you for coming at such short notice. I really appreciate you for attending today. We'll get to cover a whole lot, so we should really begin. That's a basic summary of a welcome address, of a welcome. You can expand it, but you should have these elements. You should welcome people, thank them for being available, greet and honor people who are available, thank them for coming at short notice, appreciate them, and then tell them about a brief stuff about what they're going to talk about. So, all right, guys. So there's a lot to do. Yes, there's a lot to learn. Maybe I should talk about the final thing today. And yes, I was thinking that was going to be the final thing. But let's talk about giving papers. Now, if you're in the academic world, one of the things you do also is you give papers. You give a paper. What does it mean to give a paper? A paper presentation involves the preparation of a substantive piece of writing, about 5,000 words, and then the presentation of that paper to a panel who have the opportunity to question it. So very often when you give a paper, you're giving a paper in front of a panel. You're giving a paper in front of a panel, and they are supposed to assess you, are supposed to judge it. Most of us in school did the project defense and so on. Papers are quite important in most academic settings. Conferences, big conferences, people give papers. So if you are supposed to give a paper, what do you do? What a few things you're supposed to do? Okay, so we have two kinds of papers, basically. We have research papers and conference papers. Research paper is actually supposed to be very complicated, very technical, and it's assumed that the panel are experts in that subject matter, and so you want to go very technical on them. All right, but conference papers are not usually as technical because it is assumed the people in the audience are everyday people who we want to carry along, who want to teach and share, or open up whatever it is that is complicated about the paper, make it very easy for them to understand. So there are research papers and there are conference papers. All right, so basically, in writing your paper and in delivering your paper, number one, write the paper with the audience in mind. One asks yourself the question, what kind of audience am I dealing with? Number two, you want to adhere to time limits because papers can be quite long. So you want to find out what time, how much time do I have allocated to this. And then this will help you to do good. If you have good friends that can listen to you, rehearse in front of your friends. While you're on stage to speak, start very confidently. All right, don't read as though you are reading the paper. Though you can be reading, but don't read as though you're reading. Add a lot of tonality and energy in your delivery. Maintain eye contact with your audience. And before you give that speech, make sure you practice. So that's basically all for us today. Writing different kinds of speeches. We'll look at some more maybe later. But I hope you got value. Go out there and do well. God bless.